Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome back. We got a minute and a half away from the open. Have some interesting things happening here. Uh, nice looking structure. We've got previous daily highs rated and traded back through with a minor change of character here. Good morning, Kyle. Janice, Caleb, Anna, good to see everyone. All right, let's see how this moves here. I like it for it to continue down because we have swept previous daily highs here and we have a nice shift with some imbalances, right? You can see we've retested the imbalances or retesting the imbalances right now. Not quite getting above previous daily high here. So if this holds, I like for all of this liquidity here to be rated. So Asia lows, London lows. And then once we get that, then the move back up again. So it certainly could be that we are holding this level here, right? So you have London highs here, retested again. Our New York lows here with divergence. So we don't necessarily need to see price sweeping that. Let's go to the 1 minute here. Let's see what this open does. All right, so opening price. Oh, look at that. Okay, nice push through. Okay, now we'll see if we hold the structure. Okay, because we are getting this reaction here, but let's see what we do. Good morning, YouTube. Good morning, everyone joining us on YouTube. Okay, opening volatility is always going to be the most hectic, chaotic, aside from red news. Big push. So here is a 15-minute imbalance that we just created, or we are creating. So we could look for price to come back into this, but we've gone pretty much parabolic up through these highs here, getting a change of character above these highs, closing above previous daily high on this candle would obviously send us very bullish. Hey Eve, good to see you. So let's see if we get this rejection from the New York high here. That is probably going to be the first level we see some rejection. Would have been nice to have an imbalance here a little bit lower, but come back to this consolidation here where the change of character was, and previous daily high retest. All areas that we can see for price to bounce from. Ooh. All right. So there's the high sweep, right? And then the big move down. See if we get an imbalance here. And we can come down for some lower liquidity. Initial push up could be manipulation, right? Above the highs here. I guess that's a pretty strong move down here. We get a 1 minute change of character back below. Zane, good to see you. Back at it again, yes sir. Oh wow. All right, so we might have a changing of the guard here. Big movement down, big change of character. Interesting. That was a 100-point move basically in the space of 2 candles. Okay, now we've just swept the lows. Okay, we're gonna look for the candle, the 15-minute candle, to give us a direction at this point here, right? So we saw price come down, sweep out previous daily highs, right? Close below, came back up and took out the highs one more time. So these early sellers, right, that got in have now been taken out. Okay, now where is all of the liquidity, right? Sitting underneath these lows. So look at that drop. If this continues, right, not only are we going to be looking for these Asia lows, London lows, right, but we're going to be looking for all of this as well. Right, maybe we can get some of these lows here that we left behind on this move. Looks like a pretty good move. We do have red news at 10 o'clock, so we do have to be careful about that. But that looks like a pretty strong indication that we're going to be going down. So let's see if we can get some retests of some levels here. All right, this is our what was that level? That was the high from Monday. Okay, I think the direction is going to be down today. Right, I just want to see one, kind of internal high made in here into an imbalance that we can sweep. Maybe just a retest of the imbalance will be enough. But let's see. So retesting this imbalance here. If we close back outside of it, retesting the low here for the mitigation. Okay, let's see what this does. This looks like it's going to close bullish. Or maybe not. Alright, I might regret this, but I'm going to ride this momentum here. So we're going to enter on this candle right here, 670. I'm going to put my stop a little bit higher above the imbalance here, right? So about 80 points above the 50 level. And we're going to try to ride this momentum if we can get it. I'm expecting a pullback, but I want to see if I can catch this on the way down before we... make a big move. Let's see, this is 600 is about 1-to-1. So let's see if we get this move back to 600 here. So I want to see a retest of either this imbalance or this imbalance here, right? We have the change of character, which my stop still covers if we come back for that. All right, and let's see what happens here. This is a very low contract size, by the way. This is only half of what I usually use because of the risk and because of the aggressiveness of the entry. So and so what I'm banking on is just this being the manipulation here today, and then seeing if we get the momentum to carry this down. So 15-minute candle, I would like to close underneath these bullish candles here, right? And that will give us the 15-minute bearish bias leading into that move. And then, you know, we'll see if we can get price to continue down for all those lows, if that confirms for us, right? It's a pretty big pullback. But should be okay. Am I in? Yes, I am in already. Tell me. My entry was back down here, 670. So it's kind of a early aggressive entry, like I said, but size down on it because of the bigger stop and because of the aggressive nature. Because I'm trying to front run this momentum. I guess I could have waited for this to happen and entered here and saved myself, you know, 20 points, but oh, maybe not. Didn't close. So we have a bullish imbalance here that you can see that price is rejected and closed back above, right? So I want to see what this candle does. If this holds, this is probably going to take my stop, and then I'll be out of the trade. But if we get this to come back down through and close, then I feel a little bit better about it. And right now we're retesting this imbalance, which is what I wanted to kind of get ahead of. So we have price rejecting the imbalance here. If we close under this area here, right, which is where this London high level retest is, then we should go lower, but it looks like it's holding. And we got about 3 minutes to the 15-minute candle close. It's looking good. If we stay underneath the New York low and the London low on the close, that would be perfect. Okay, that looks like it's going to be a good close. All right, 2 more minutes. Let's see how this candle shapes up to be at the end of 2 minutes. So the reason why I took the entry here is I was taking the imbalance retest here. So I saw the reaction, the close underneath, and I figured I'd ride the momentum down if it carried through. But if it did come back against me, like I said, I knew that we could see a retest of this one as well. So putting my stop above that midpoint area in the day open price here, because I don't really want to see price come back above previous daily high again. So hence the bigger stop. All right, one more candle closure, and if we get under here, and this candle looks perfect as to what I want to see. Okay, we're a little bit in profit now, but not by much. And I just need to see it run straight through. So this will give us a structure break, right? Continuation. And so far looking pretty good. All right, if we get the closure underneath this, that's pretty big as well, because this was the high over here, right? Oh no, sorry, this is the Asia lows. So we have the closure underneath. I want this to be here. I don't know why I took that line off. This was the previous high, right? 692. So closing under this level here is significant, right? And there it goes. Nice momentum. All right, my target is going to be 601. I don't want it to be right at 600. It's bouncing off the 620 here. This should carry right through. All right, and come on. Come on. Just one more push through. Next candle maybe. All right, we're leaving ourselves a bearish imbalance, which is great. All right, I'm gonna put my stop to break even here. So right after this candle closure, because we're right there. And there we go, boom, TB hit. Fantastic. All right, was that worth it, guys? That was worth it, right? Right before news as well. Finished the day in 15 minutes. I mean, can't ask for a better result. All right, we can see if this is gonna keep going. All right, like I said, I feel like we're gonna come for the rest of this, right? Based off what we did here. And that initial candle volatility, like the way that printed and the way that happened, made me very confident, you know, why I took the entry early, why I, you know. So this next low should go 566, and then we'll see if we can get to this one here today. But previous week high might give us a retest. Let's see how far this goes. Taking this low here would give us 110 points. Okay, and look at the momentum of that candle. Boom, straight through. Takes the low. All right, you know, look at this keep going, right? Okay, what's next? This level here, 420. Let's mark this here. Oh my gosh, look at this melt away. All right, and there's the bounce on previous week high, so we should get a retest of some certain level. This level here probably is a good retest level. That's the first one, right? Mitigation of that low. This will be the next one. Above that, in between, we have all these imbalances here that we could also tap into. Nope, just gonna keep going down. Ah, there we go. All right, so, I mean, we're done early, right? It might be tempting to go back in, take another trade. I would advise against doing that, lest you give it back. All right, there's the previous week high retest, right? There's the mitigation retest right now that we're seeing, going right through that, leaving ourselves a little imbalance here. So let's see if we keep going. We get a retest of this order block here. Would be ideally where we want to see the next lower high in the retracement, right? But after such a big move down, you know, you really don't want to see price come back this quickly to a level like that. But if it does, that is where we would like to see the next retracement. Right, but understand that if we do that, right, if we come back to this level right here, okay, we're closing in this imbalance, right, which I don't really want to see price do. But we do want to see it leave an imbalance if we want to continue lower. We'll see what the 10 o'clock news does as well. It's another thing that I'm glad that we're out of that trade now before 10 o'clock, because the red news will come in and, you know, do something as well. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, 1-to-1 is relative, right? On NQ, it's relative to your stop. So, you know, if your stop is big, 1-to-1 could be like 80 points like this, right? Or sometimes our stop is a little bit smaller, 40, 50 points. So, like I tell you guys, you really only need, you know, 30 points, 30 to 50. Okay, there's the reaction I was expecting. So let's see what it does here on previous week high. If we look at the 15-minute structure here, right, we took out this internal low here, right, we're coming back above it, respecting this low, and still overall doing the same structure. So we got a higher low, potentially higher low here that will go on to make a new higher high if we're following the higher time frame structure. But let's see what the red news does at 10. You guys notice how effortless that trade was, right? Like, we hit take profit in like 2 candles, basically, right? One big candle, another big candle, and we hit it. Or maybe it was 3 candles, I'm not sure. But the difference between, you know, a very nice setup like this versus like another setup where we have to sit there and wait through drawdown, it's like, you know, chopping back and forth, right? So setups like this are very rare. But when you hit it, right, it's just this night and day difference versus like, you know, a setup where you have to sit through drawdown and wait for things to happen and eventually hits. All right, 5 minutes to go. Looks like we didn't quite get up to here, but this could do it here on this next push. Account locked. Good job, Caleb. Yeah, make sure you don't go back in. Okay, so the low that we took here, we traded below it, now back above, and now we're retesting it, right? So here we'll probably get another consolidation. So we'll see consolidation, we'll form a range, we'll sweep the range, right? And then maybe the order block we tapped into, maybe there's some balance, but we'll see a sweep of the range, and then we'll see a move down, and that should be the next move. So I don't know if red news will do something crazy, but it's not very, you know, it's just like a normal red folder. It's not like anything big. And then remember that we have NFP on Friday. So you should expect, you know, tomorrow to be choppy. And, you know, today we got this big move here, but after this move, we might just chop in a range here. Right, so you can see we have imbalance here, right? That is not currently holding. I'm trading through it. There's another one right here, a very tiny one on the 50. So that could be a next area to bounce. But we'll watch this level here. Are we staying under it? Are we closing back above it? One more minute to go, or actually, sorry, 2 minutes to go for 10 o'clock. So ideally, the next short setup would be something like, you know, where we sweep this high into the imbalance or into the order block here, and then we get a move down. So notice the 10 o'clock candle here, or the closure here, is going to leave this imbalance open, right? The next candle opening should manipulate higher into the point of interest, right? So higher time frame point of interest, we get a sweep of the internal high into the POI in step 2, and then the shift out of it, displacement, change of character, and hopefully if we get some divergence, I don't think we will, but that would be step 5. All right, 40 seconds. Good reaction here, right at the small imbalance. And then the push up. Let's see if we get this high, sweep that high into the POI. And let's see what news does. Ten more seconds. Oh, looks like we're not going to get that move unless news comes in. All right, 10 o'clock, and oh, interesting, sweep below. Okay, so we did get that imbalance to form, right? So above this high is what we want to see price come back up into, reach into that level, tap into this, and then continue down from it. It's a good strong candle off of that retest. And the high is right there. Almost there. There we go. All right, so there's a sweep. Well, not yet, but we did run it. So let's see if we stay above it or if we keep going. Or rather, if we reverse and come back down. So we got to see a close back underneath the high. That would tell us that we are sweeping it, right? If we close above it, it means we're likely going to keep going higher. But we haven't reached the premium point of interest yet, per se. So we would want to see price come back and retest this OB or this imbalance here. And also just another thing about, highs that we take, like notice how there was no red line on this high, right? Because the indicator will draw, or the green line, I'm sorry. Indicator will draw swing points on these, like significant swings, right? So if there's no red line here, it's not as significant. So it's not really as strong if we take a high like this. If we take a high like this, it's going to be much better. And so what's the difference between a high like this and a high like this? Well, this high came down and we took out a low, right? So that makes this significant because this high actually did something, meaning we take liquidity below. But this is just a small retracement, so it's really nothing in the bigger picture, right? If we now come back up and take out, like, say, this high, okay, into this order block and imbalance, that would be a much stronger short signal. Plus, we're also retesting, like, the open price and previous daily high, like key levels up here, right? So while this is okay, right, this would be like a B grade, this would be an A grade. Well, there was something. Looked like it was something. Oh, came right back up. So you can see most of these types of sweeps here don't really follow through, right? They don't hold because, like I said, the high isn't as significant. If it's not taking structure, if it's not taking liquidity, right, then there isn't really going to be a lot of liquidity built up here to take. So, think of it in terms of like, if sellers are seeing this as a downtrend, right, this high, are they going to put their stop here, or are they going to put their stop here or here, right? More likely they're going to put their stop up here, right? This is probably where a majority of stops are. But if you're like, trying to trail it, or if you're trying to like, start to manage your trade, then you'll start to put stops here. But less likely is going to be, the majority, the bulk order is going to be here, right? It's going to be either here or here. Did we tap it? Nope, we didn't tap into this just yet. So it's here, right here. You can see the high is right here. This is that imbalance, right? And this is that order block. So I'd like to see at least price get up into this to touch this point of interest. And if we do that, right, if we touch this point of interest here, you'll notice if we go over here to the 4-hour chart, right, then this becomes the 4-hour point of interest. So there's overlap, this 4-hour OB, which starts from here, right, which is this line right here, which is the order block. So if price can come up into here, we tap into the 15-minute imbalance, we also tap into the 4-hour order block, right, and then we get that reaction out of it. Much stronger confirmation from there. So this would help you filter out, a sweep like this isn't going to be as strong, right? If we don't have that higher time frame confirmation as well. Towing the line, towing the line. All right, 680 is where I'd like it to go, right? I'd like to see it reach up into 680. 650 obviously here is going to be the imbalance, right? But like I said, we can get up into that 4-hour order block as well as the imbalance. That would be fantastic. So there's another imbalance right here. But the order block itself is this whole thing right here, which is that 4-hour OB level. So close, almost there. Kamika, your mic's open. All right, so we did tap into the imbalance. We did tap into the order block, the wick of the order block here, right? So a reaction from here, even though we didn't get to the 80, that's okay. Just need to see the reaction, right? So big fall away, big shift. Okay, and we need to see that momentum step in, right? Just like we saw over here, right? Why I was so, confident in this is because I was carrying the momentum after we saw price sweep out like key levels of liquidity, previous daily high, and also the high that we created pre-market, right? That kind of momentum with the change of character and the shift, right? And because we had so much liquidity below that we could have swapped out. So if we take a short now, we're going against this bullish momentum that we're seeing here, right? Look at this 15-minute candle. That's pretty big, okay? So, smart thing would be to wait for the reaction, number one, and then to see if 15-minute candle paint the other way, right? So this is going to be 10-15. This candle is extremely bullish, right? I have no idea, because we've taken liquidity below here and we've retested previous week high. I mean, we're bullish, right? And prices, every single time we've done a big drop like this, we've gone straight back up and taken out highs above. So who's to say that we're not going to do that here? Probably more likely that that's going to happen because of the higher time frame. So you really need to see that confirmation from the 15-minute when we hit a level like this to go the other way, so that we don't create like an imbalance here, right? And we don't see price just take this momentum upwards. Granted, we already took a winner today, so it's I'm just kind of giving you extra commentary here, right? I don't expect you to get in if you're already taking that winner, but if we were looking for this to to go short, just understand that there's a lot that needs to be going with us with the grain, because the higher time frame doesn't match up. All right, so imbalance here. Right now we're seeing reaction. Okay, and this is the area that I said that I wanted to see price react to, right? 4-hour order block, 15-minute imbalance. Okay, and then where's the imbalance? Let's look at 15-minute, yeah, right here, right? 15-minute imbalance. It's a pretty big imbalance, but the swing low here is what I'm interested in, right? Because that's the 4-hour, pretty much the 4-hour OB, this structure here. So I don't expect price to run this high if we're bearish, right? And I don't expect to come back above previous daily high or day open as well, because we shifted through this so aggressively. So if we now come back through this level, right, 745, 750, then I've got, you know, something to think about if I'm still looking to go short. And really, we should be looking for, you know, reasons to go long if we want to capture the higher time frame trend. So if we were going to go long, we're not going to go long here either, right? Obviously, we want to see price come down and take liquidity. So this is what we did over here. We took liquidity, right? And then we want to see an internal sweep of liquidity. So one of these lows here, one of these lows here, preferably this one, right? This one's going to be more significant. Why? Because this low went up and broke a high. Okay, same idea. This also, right? But you know, this is not as cut and dry. So it still counts, but yesterday we were looking for the long that never set us up for the long, right? Because we never got an internal sweep until really until the end of the day. Like over here is when we got it. So if we look at this on the 15-minute, you can see, let's see, when did we actually, oh, you can see also on the 15-minute here, we swept this in the carryover, right, in Asia, and then we got the move up. So, you know, sometimes it just doesn't set up for us, right, and you just have to sit on your hands and wait. A lot of times we're sitting here waiting for setups to happen that don't happen, right? And you might think it's boring and you know, like, you don't want to sit here and wait for these setups to happen. You need to be looking to trade something, or your hands need to be busy. But you know, that's the kind of mentality that's going to get your accounts blown, right? Because you can't sit still. So if you're waiting for your setup, that's what you should be doing, right? In between, if you get bored and you know things start to look like 50-50, or this looks half good, or you know, that's where the account blown, you know, start to creep in, the behavior start to creep in. So nip it in the bud now. Get yourself, you know, trained, your mindset trained to be able to wait for these things to happen, and then you know just be really, really disciplined and make sure that you're waiting for them to happen. Like we sit through these, sometimes we sit through these live streams, we don't have any trades that happen, right? So that's what trading is. That's what you have to do. You have to sit there and wait until something happens to where your criteria is met, and then you take the trade. And sometimes that happens to be a loss, right? We took a loss on Monday or Tuesday. Which one was it? I think it was Monday. So, you know what? It happens. But it's few and far between, and your winners should outpace your losers, right? And that's why keeping track and keeping stats, journals, things like that is important. So if you're taking all these different trades, let's say you're taking like 4 or 5 trades, right? 10 trades in a day, these just like small, like, you know, intraday scalps or whatever you're doing. Number one, I guarantee that those aren't following rules, right? You're not following rules when you're doing that. You're just taking trades, whatever. And number two is you're not, you know, journaling those. Probably, most likely, you're not journaling those trades, right? And if you did, it'd be a lot of work to do, right, for yourself. So you're giving yourself a lot more work to do at the end of the day, because you have to give yourself setups that are valid, first of all, to journal, right? If you're just taking trades off of, like, you know, 6 cents or ESP, or because something looks good, or because you're bored and, you know, setup didn't happen, so I'll just enter here, see what happens, right? That kind of stuff. you should still also be journaling those trades as well, right? You should be putting those down and making a mental note of why you took those trades, during that time, because you'll see a pattern, right? Is when, if you're journaling correctly, you have to, talk about like why the setup was there or why you took it. And if the reason is going to be because, well, there was no setup, and you have to be honest with yourself as well, right? So if the setup wasn't there, I took it because it was a boring trade, or because, I was bored. I didn't see anything else setting up today, and I just didn't want to, I didn't want to end the day without a trade, right? That kind of feeling. Like I said, no one's going to be accountable to you other than you, right? You could get somebody to help you stay accountable, but at the end of the day, it's always going to be you looking yourself in the mirror saying, did I do this correctly, right? Did I follow the process correctly? Did I take my setup the way I was supposed to take the setup? Did I follow my rules all the way through? Like, and really, really be honest with yourself at the end of the session, because that's the only way you're going to improve, and that's the only way you're going to catch the behaviors, right? And see the behaviors that you're doing that's creating these, mistakes that you do. Because it's going to be the same mistakes over and over. Everyone's mistakes might be a little bit different, or depending on your personality and how you trade, but you will see the same, mistakes creeping up and popping up, reoccurring over and over again if you're journaling the way you're supposed to be journaling. Nice reaction to the level there. Right, so there's 4-hour order block, right? And we hit the level that we wanted to hit. We got divergence there. Still kind of like a consolidation, but let's see what it does. Still haven't closed back under this change of character, so you can see we're holding it, and also holding I thought we tapped into this. Looked like there was an imbalance there, but there wasn't, so there's an imbalance here. All right, so see the difference, right? Taking a high like this, doesn't follow through. Let's see what happens when we take this high, if we get that. If we take this high, we still are within the bounds of this 4-hour OB. And in fact, it would be above the midpoint here, right? But this is also where the next order block above would be nestled just above this high here. So Yeah, but if we get up to this region here, like I said, I don't want to see price closing back above these levels, right? The open price, previous daily high. So we could come back and retest them. But, I mean, I feel like we've already done that quite a few times. So coming back to this region here really means that price is going to keep going higher to me. Okay, so at this point, if we are going to see price come down, this is really the only area right now that is like an A plus to me. So this is what ideally should happen, right? We should put our stop above, let's say we just put our stop above here, 70 points. Okay, and then if this reaction happens to be bearish, right? We come down and take out these lows, then we should move to take out all of these lows below. Right? This low here, and these lows here. Might not be ready to do that, to be honest. I feel like we're just going to consolidate here today. And maybe tomorrow as well, right? And then NFP does whatever it needs to do. But just remember that the trend is still bullish on the higher time frame. There's no indication that we are reversing, even though we're getting these moves down. Like even these 4-hour moves, you can see, right? Every time we get a big move down, it's just a launch pad for price to go higher. So I would venture that price wants to go to 31 next, right? That's the next big milestone. Right? Weekly is still looking very bullish, and also monthly as well. All right, so we'll call it here today, right? I don't want to entice anyone to jump in on any more trades if you've already taken a winner today. But if you do want to look for a setup, if you missed that first short, right, this would be the next area that I'd look for, okay? But a better setup would be, like I said, after taking lows to look for price to come back up. So this low here be probably the best candidate in my book, right? This one here is the closest one, but I would still like for price to come back for, you know, a deeper retracement, of course, or even taking out this big one here, right? That would be a good psych level as well, 500. ID 50 before tea time? I don't know. I don't have my my 1350 EMA cross on here, but yeah, if it looks good, maybe. Any other questions before we call it? We'll come back tomorrow, we'll do the same thing. All right, and let's see what price does before NFP. NFP should be interesting. Yeah, you're welcome, guys. Good day today, though. Glad that we got a win early. Yes, tomorrow CPT. Take profit Thursday. Okay. Yep. Have a great day, guys. Enjoy the rest of your trading day. And we'll see you tomorrow.